buy the book before you buy the coin. That's a mantra often repeated by experienced coin collectors. And you know what? I agree with them. You see, typically in my tutorial videos, I try pointing you towards as many online resources as I can. However, ancient coin collecting is a hobby where a lot of good material is still only available in books, and having your little personal numismatic library can really help you leave that beginner stage of a collector and, really get into something more serious, more in depth. So that's what today's video is all about. Let me give you some personal recommendations on books. Of course, there are thousands of coin books out there. I'll go over just a few on Roman, Greek, Byzantine coins, and some more, let's say, general books. However, I know you, my dear subscribers, collect other types of coins. So once more, let's make this video like a collaborative experience. Please type down in the comment section below what books you would recommend, especially if it's a book about a different type of coin, like Asian, Persian, Celtic, whatever you feel like. Any recommendations are very welcome. Okay, there are two main types of books on coins. There are catalogs, and there are more general books that talk about certain types of coins. So let's start with catalogs. And these are, well, what you would expect from a catalog, like a compilation of a certain type of coin or the coins issued during a certain time period, all of its types, varieties, and an in-depth explanation of each type. These can be as broad as, let's say, Roman imperial coins and explain all of the coin issues in all metals from a certain time period. For example, Roman imperial coins from the adoptive emperors to the Severan dynasty. That's over 2 centuries of coinage. So, it's very broad. Others get super specialized, discussing like a single mint, like, the coinage of Caesarea in Cappadocia, or the London Mint of Constantius and Constantine. Now, we're talking about a highly specialized catalog for a very niche type of collector. With that in mind, of course, I would recommend you first get a more beginner-friendly general catalog, so you can get a bird's eye view of what exists on your field of interest. I'll give you some recommendations in a moment. And as you digest that broader level of information, you then get a more specialized catalog, and you delve deeper into a topic of your interest. Just as an example of what this catalog collection would look like. Let's say I collect Roman coins from the 5 good emperors. I would start with something like David Sears' Roman Coins and Their Values, Volume 2, Adoptive Emperors to Severans. Very broad, but still a high quality catalog. Then, as you start dominating the niche and getting to know in a broad sense everything that's out there of this like particular date range, and you identify something that interests you, like, let's say you develop a taste for the coins of Marcus Aurelius. I'll then go into Henry Cohen and RIC, Roman Imperial Coinage, the very famous series. More in-depth, complex catalogs that might be overwhelming for someone just starting out. It eventually gets to a point where you're like very deep into a type of coin you really enjoy. You know what I mean? We might collect lots of different types of coins, but there's always like a particular type that tickles that collector bug that lives inside of us. By that point, you will see yourself getting different catalogs just for having access to like a specific part of that catalog rather than the entire book on itself. As we were using Marcus Aurelius as an example, you get a book on the coinage of Alexandria in Egypt, and you get this catalog just so you know what was minted exclusively for Marcus. Another book for provincial coinage, and have an overall look of his provincial issues rather than the imperial ones in the main catalogs. Then one on Cappadocia, just for the pages focus on the issues during Marcus's reign, so on and so forth. It's a very research-intensive hobby. For some, it might make it overwhelming, while for others, it's one of the most intriguing things about numismatics, like digging deep into lots of different books to really specialize in a niche. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I promise you some recommendations on some basic catalogs. Okay, for Greek, Roman, and Byzantine coins, a nice starting point are the books published by David R. Sear. Roman coins and their values, there are 5 of these books spanning different time periods in Roman monetary history. Then there's Greek coins and their values, as well as Greek imperial coins and their values, which focus on Greek coins and Greek coins under Roman rule, as well as Byzantine coins and their values, which, of course, gives an overview on Byzantine coinage. Frankly, all books from this author are really good, and these catalogs are great for beginners. They have a series of introductory articles before the catalog itself that help you get acquainted to the type of coinage, the broad historical context. Then the catalog itself has very clear descriptions of each type and its varieties. And, very important, lots of images, so you can get lots of exposure to the appearance of the coins, which is essential for beginners. Well, it's essential for every collector. Any numismatist needs to be constantly exposed to coins. There's also a particularly smart thing done by David Sear in these books. He lists other catalog references for each coin entry on his own catalog. So, for example, here's on your screen a snippet on a coin of Diocletian. This is just a random example I picked from the catalog. It gives a picture of the coin, its description, gold aureus, draped, obverse, reverse, everything. Then it gives its RIC reference, its Calico reference, and its Deperot number. These are all catalog numbers, other catalogs where this coin can also be found. What I mean by this is that once you specialize, you move to more complex catalogs, let's say from Sear to RIC, you can cross-reference both catalogs. This means you can always use this supposedly beginner's catalog in tandem with more complex literature. Apart from that, there's also a price guide for each coin in very fine and extremely fine condition. I mean, I wouldn't use these prices on the book as a reference for anything. They're absolutely outdated by now. But you could use these as a reference for the relative price between similar types. Frankly, it's better to just do the market research yourself. Still, I highly recommend every book written by David Sear. And then we have this vast universe of more general books on coins. These are more like what you would expect from a university textbook, but on coins. A series of essays discussing in more or less depth particular types of coins, and once again, some tackle subjects in a more bird's eye view, discussing coinage in general or series of coins more broadly. Others focus on individual coins in detail. Some discuss the coins themselves as a thing to be studied, like an object, while others look more into monetary policy and how coins worked in a certain society. There's a lot out there, so let me give you some recommendations. And we start with the Oxford Handbook of Greek and Roman Coinage, an absolute brick of a book with over 700 pages, and it's a must-buy. It's a compilation of a series of essays from different scholars, organized and condensed in this book as to give us an overview of the history of ancient coins. There are 33 chapters, starting with a discussion of how coins were invented in the 7th century BC, going over archaic Greece, the Achaemenid Persians, classical Greece, the different Hellenistic kingdoms, the Parthians, and an extensive overview of Roman numismatics, from their pre-monetary economy based on bronze ingots all the way to the fall of the Western Empire. I often see myself going back to this book once I'm intrigued about a certain type of coin. I pick it up and I read the specific chapter related to what I'm interested in. and it gives me always like a nice historical overview of the time period and an overview of the coins of that time. It's a great reference book to come back to every now and then and read it bit by bit. It might be unwise to gobble up all of the 700 pages of it all at once. Since it tackles so many different topics, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But I still think it's a must-buy for everyone who's into Greek or Roman coins. On the other hand, a book you can read all at once is Coinage in the Roman World by Andrew Burnett. I feel like Mr. Burnett should have given this book a different name. I mean, yes, he talks about Roman coins in his book, but he goes much further than that. He, of course, goes over Roman coinage and how money worked in ancient Rome, like the title says. However, he also uses it as an example to explore the very nature of money as a social technology, as a way of people to interact with one another. It's a truly fascinating book that goes into these intangible aspects of money. He uses coin debasement during the imperial period to explain how inflation is a monetary phenomenon of supply and demand, how coins have been used as a tool of projecting authority, and how this projection is done differently with people from foreign nations and with those living within your own territory, how social trends like the widespread adoption of Christianity during late antiquity affected the imagery of coins. It's like if you sat down with an anthropologist, an economist, and a psychologist who also happen to be coin collectors for a chat. It's really cool. It's a much smaller book at around 170 pages, but just because it is small, it doesn't mean it's simple. It's a joy to read, easily understandable, and packed with information. It's really good. Next, we go with Moneta, A History of Ancient Rome in 12 Coins by Gareth Harney. It is being released in the US under the name A History of Ancient Rome in 12 Coins. As the title of the book implies, Gareth is not just a historian, he's also a coin collector like us. His book tells us the story of Rome, from its foundation to its expansion under the Republic and the Empire, to its apex, to the fall of the Western Empire. All under the perspective of 12 emblematic coins. From the first silver pieces issued by the Romans, the first coins made for foreign trade bearing the name of the Roman people, passing through the Republic, the Imperial period, and ending with the first coins struck in Rome under non-Roman rulers. Yet another great book. Not only does it go over the story of Rome's most important moments, he does so as a narrative, rather than using the typical scholastic, classroom-like language from the previous books I talked about. Apart from, of course, the lovely reference to coins all of the time, which I always appreciate as a coin collector. When reading this book, it felt like if that amazing HBO series, Rome, was put into book format, while at the same time I was like if I was having a conversation with a coin collector friend after a coin show. That moment collectors know very well when you finally find someone genuinely willing to listen to why you like a certain coin so much, and you give that really heartfelt explanation on why this or that coin is awesome. That's the kind of passion Gareth expresses with his book. It closes the gap between academics and hobbyists. He comes down from that ivory tower of scholars, extending his hand and going, we also think Roman coins are amazing. Come, let's explore Roman coins together. So yes, amazing book. And last but not least, 100 Greatest Ancient Coins by Harlan J. Burke. If you have that friend who you convinced to get their first ancient coin, but they aren't really sure if they want to delve deeper on it, or maybe that person who's into ancient history and you think he or she would be a great collector, and you want either to convince them to join you in the hobby or at least make them understand why you love ancient coins so much, That's the book to show them. It is visually spectacular. High quality, crisp images of some truly stunning coins on every page. It's an impressive book, even for someone who has zero interest in numismatics. The first pages start with a brief introduction about ancient coins in general, the history of numismatics as a field of study. Then the author quickly goes over some of the most common questions beginners have, the basics of coin grading, and some beautiful diagrams comparing the size of the most common types of Roman, Greek, and Byzantine coins. Then, around page 20, the list of 100 greatest coins begin. Each coin has a small article written about it, explaining why it is important, accompanied by a couple of huge images of its obverse and reverse, so you can see all of details of the coin. The coins aren't shown in a ranking order, so it doesn't start from the 100th, then 99, 98, and so on. No, they're shown in chronological order, starting at the birth of coinage around the 7th century BC, and the last coin on the list ends in the year 1453, although the last coin chronologically ranks 94th on the list. It was actually quite a smart move from the author. It transformed 100 interesting but otherwise disjointed articles about coins into one gigantic narrative of Western monetary history, spanning 2100 years. It's a great book for beginners, and even for those more experienced numismatists. I mean, everyone just looks at it and it looks incredible, so it's also an amazing book. By the way, if you would like to acquire any of these books, in the video description I have added Amazon links to all of them. These are affiliate links, so by buying them from these links, you're supporting the channel. Well, here we have it. 4 books and 8 different catalogs. That's enough reading to keep you busy for a while. Alright, don't forget to leave a comment with your book recommendations so we can all learn from each other. I hope you enjoyed yet another episode. Leave a like if you did. Happy collecting, happy reading, and I'll see you soon.